Hey, welcome to the G. Louise book series. This is where we read books and talk books. No special effects, no theme music, none of that fancy smancy stuff going on here. And we have simple little co-hosts when they show up, when they want to be cooperative and show up. Today we are talking about book 9 in the Paige Shelton Scottish Bookshop Mystery Series, The Poison Pen. And having finished this book, I have no idea what the poison pen has to do with this whole thing. But there is a sword on the cover. So, one of the things that's good about this particular volume of this series is that you have a small cast, so it's easier to follow. And because it's been a while since I've picked up this book, this series, I didn't have to refresh. I knew the characters, I remembered the characters, I remembered my core group, and there wasn't too many extras. So that was cool too. So there wasn't too many. Your extra category, your visitors, your potential suspects, your potential victims, murderers was small. So we have Delaney works at the Cracked Spine. Her husband is Tom. He owns a pub, and that relationship has developed since the beginning. Edwin McAllister is her boss. She is an archivist. She researches artifacts and old objects and anything else she can get her hands on. I would love to be in her warehouse too, just to see all the history that she has. Elias is a good friend, and he sometimes plays taxi driver for her and his wife Angie. And then Rosie and Hamlet are her co-workers. And they get called in the very first chapter. Edwin's old girlfriend, he dated her literally 40 years ago, and there's no specific reason for their breakup, so you're not really sure what happened. But apparently, Jolie has found something on her estate, and she wants Delaney to come out and identify and tell her that this is a valuable object or not a valuable object. And when Delaney gets to her house, Jolie has uninvited guests. Apparently, her lawyer, and I use that cautiously because later things, this woman just pisses me off the entire book. I have a vengeance for this lady. But this lady, Bowie Berry, brought with her two auditor type people to take an inventory. I wrote their names down a few times. Albert Dunning. Where is it? I wrote it down. And Trudy is Jolie's housekeeper. Alban Dunning and, what? I wrote it down. Giles Haig. They come to her house. So, Delaney gets to this house, and Trudy, the housekeeper, answers the door, and they're all kind of upset because Bowie Berry, the attorney, has brought these two guys in to do an inventory because her house she's a little bit of a hoarder. And the woman is like, you signed these papers 10 years ago, giving me power of attorney, and now I'm going to take control of your entire estate. I'm going to have you declared unfit because of the way your house is, and I want these two gentlemen to take inventory so we can start selling stuff. She's like, what? All of a sudden, she hasn't seen this lady for years. She's claiming to have power of attorney over Jolie. Jolie is hysterically a mess that this woman supposedly has power of attorney over her. She doesn't remember signing the papers or whatever. And so the housekeeper is upset. The gardener is upset, Homer. They're all upset. Delaney walks into this, so Delaney confronts them all and they all leave. And then Jolie tells Delaney that they have found this object and they want her to look at it to see if it's worth anything, if it's real. And apparently it's being kept out in the shed in a Tupperware bucket, Rubbermaid bucket, whoever knows what's made in Scotland. And apparently it's a sword. And apparently it's a Crusader sword, a really, really valuable sword from the 1300s. But it has to be authenticated, it has to be proved, all this kind of stuff. And apparently there's this agency, and I didn't write it. I wrote it, but I don't remember where I wrote it. The Treasure Trove Unit of the Scottish Government. All valuable items found, anything found anywhere in Scotland, must be reported to this unit. And Joshua is a good friend of Delaney's. They become really good friends since she moved to Scotland a few years ago. And he works at the museum, and this guy has been hired, Kramer Donnell, has been hired almost to be his superior. And we're all kind of upset that Joshua didn't get the job in the first place, but this outsider came in and got the job. And this outsider increasingly becomes, you start to realize this guy really doesn't belong here. He's not doing the right things. He's not saying the right things. It doesn't seem weird. Why was this guy hired for this job if he didn't know XYZ? All this kind of stuff. So, oh Lord. So she's at Jolie's, right? And they're examining the sword and they're all together. And then Homer goes out to do some gardening and he finds a dead guy. Earlier in the day, after they kicked out the two visitors, Giles Haig and Albin Dunning and Bowie, Homer is out in the gardens. It's a large estate. And he finds Albin Dunning deceased. And the police come out and they accuse Homer of committing the murder because he has the murder weapon in his hand. But it was his tool and he was going to use it. And he had left it on the ground because he didn't want to carry it back and forth with him. He left it there and he was on his way back to retrieve it to go to the other spot. And that's when he found the guy dead, and he just instinctively, without even thinking about it, picked up the rake again. So his fingerprints are on it. Well, they were on it prior too. So he gets questioned by the police, and her friend Elias is a little upset that his friend is being questioned by the police. So, and then we have Inspector Winters. I forgot to mention him prior. He's a kind of a regular friend of Delaney's. And Delaney gets him involved by calling him and going, hey, look, there's people out here, there's been a murder, blah, blah, blah. So he comes out and they talk about it. And then, Jolie wants them to take the sword with them. Take the sword with them. So they take the sword with them. And then the next day, a newspaper is reporting that, Mr. Kramer has said that Delaney and Edwin have stolen this sword from this woman. They are crooks. In the meantime, Delaney has already told Inspector Winters that Jolie gave her permission and requested they remove the sword. So it's not, So, there's all this stuff going on. There's so much layer after layer after layer of plot. Layered plot. It's a very multi-layered plot. But, so, we start researching the sword. And we start to think that it may be an authentic Crusader sword. We're doing some research on that. There also comes into question Jolie's heritage, ancestry. Apparently, Jolie's mom proclaimed that Jolie was the biological child of Edward VIII, the one that abdicated for Simpson or whatever her name was. Apologize, I don't remember it offhand. but he was the one that advocated, and apparently her parents and them were really good friends, and apparently they had a night of passion or something like that. And apparently Jolie's dad couldn't actually produce children. I mean, it's all hypothetical. It's all hypothesis type thinking. Nothing is proved or unproven. Nothing was ever proved. No DNA. None of that stuff was done way back in the 50s or whenever this occurred. So this stuff comes to light again about her past, and the Bowie's using it as her being a little loose, and she's trying to get possession of stuff, and she keeps coming back to Jolie and making these issues and making more issues and promises. And oh, is that woman just that Bowie lemon just, and I'm like, she's got to be the cause of this. She's got to be the evil one in this. There's got to be more some to her. That's what I'm thinking the whole book. So they do a lot of investigating. They take the sword back to the museum. The museum decides that they want all the parties involved to be involved so that the research into the sword, the cleaning of the sword, the investigation of the sword is all up and up. So they want Delaney requests that her father-in-law at Tear, Tom's dad, who is an archivist, who is a restorer, has a background in this stuff. He works for a library. That he be involved. So Delaney's involved, and Tear's involved, and Joshua and this Kramer guy, and a couple other people, and they do their investigation. They start cleaning it, blah blah blah. And this Kramer guy comes down, and he picks it up, and he pretends he's playing with a lightsaber, and the sword breaks. And that's the end of him. His library career is over right then and there for his action. They tried to get him to stop. So, your questions are, is the sword a real sword? Does Bowie Berry really have legal control over Jolie? There may or may not be a question of Bowie Berry's legal license, law license, if there still is one. Why did she bring those two guys out to Jolie's place without any warning? Why did she bring those two, and why and how was Alban murdered? And what other secrets does Bowie Berry have? What secrets does Jolie have? What secrets does Edwin have? And will Delaney ever get a car in Scott? She uses public transportation for all of her travels because she doesn't want to drive on the wrong side of the road. I don't think I could do it. I don't think I could do it. Drive in Europe. I do not think I could do it. So that's your little mysteries here. There's the next book's coming. It's sometime this year it's coming out. It's scheduled for 2025. So we'll get ready for that. This is the bottom of my TBR pile. So I'm going to get up with Catherine Coulter. We're going to get back up with Sherlock and Savick for a couple days. But if you hit the like and subscribe, let me know I'm doing a good job. Please check out Flashback Mondays, where we talk about all the books in my favorite magazine, Regency's Contemporary Romances, Inspirational Sci-Fi, Paranormals, Harlequins, the whole 9 yards. So please check that out. And Star Trek Next Generation Fridays recap, and If Then Fridays. I recently did your top 20 top books coming out, new releases for January. I also did my top 10, 15-ish for reviews of last year. Lost Apothecary is up there, and All My JD Robb is up there, and all the others are up there too, so please check those out. And please hit the like and subscribe. Let me know I'm going to do a good job. Please check out the unboxing videos. I bet there were some books in there you've never heard of, because I never heard of them. And I spent quite a quite a bit of time in bookstores and libraries, and I hadn't heard of these ladies. And some of those books were from the 80s, so go check those out. And you can please hit the like and subscribe. I'd appreciate it. Have a good one.